Okay, looking at problem one, we have this chart and we're going to go to Desmos and graph it and try and figure out, hey, what's the equation of this? Now, we have to think there's three different things going to happen. We have exponential growth, where something is growing extremely quickly. We have exponential decay, where something is basically growing, going to zero very quickly. And then you have logarithms, which look like this. So when we look at our graph, we're going to know whether it's this, which is like a to the bx power, this, which is a to the bx power. The problem being is b here would be a fraction because it's breaking down, or this, which would be a logarithm. Okay, so we have to figure out, hey, which is which? And so that's what we're going to do. So we need to go to Desmos. So we would go to Desmos and open a graph. In this case, I've already opened a graph. If you weren't sure how to open a graph, you hit a plus, you hit the table and enter it. Well, we don't need to do that because I've already done it and entered in our data. Notice it's an X1, Y1. Now, if we come to our graph, we can see that it's going up, up, up very quickly. This is exponential growth. So we need to tell it to give us the line of best fit here, okay, the curve of best fit. So I'm going to come in right here and I'm going to type y. Now I want it to read my points, so I'll type 1. That does y sub 1. So it's like, hey, we're going to read what's in your data here. And then I'm going to do shift and the little squiggly to say, hey, approximate, what is this? Hey, I'm getting ready. It's not equal. I'm not writing an equation. I want you to figure this out for me. I then simply do A times B, and I need to raise that B to a power. So I'm going to use the caret key. Now I could do it on the board, but I'm going to do a caret key here, and it raises it up. And I do it X, but I got to do it not X sub 1, because I want it to read my data. Those are the biggest mistakes that happen, X sub 1. So it's like, hey, notice it plotted it and it goes through every one of my points. And if I look at this information here, this information tells me exactly what I need. It tells me my A value here was a 2 and my B was a perfect 3. It also, the R squared is a 1. That means it's a perfect fit. Those numbers are perfect. The correlation coefficient, perfect. Okay. So that's going to be our equation. It's going to be y equals 2 to the times 3 to the x power. And that's what we would come back. And on our thing, we would say, okay, the equation of this data is y equals, well, what was our A value again? Well, we look, A was 2. So we're like, okay, so it was 2 times B was 3 to the x power. And that was the equation that was used. Notice when x was 1, 3 to the first is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. Yes, this is the equation. It is exponential growth, and we now have the perfect equation to fit our data.